之中影窜动，转瞬风起云涌。
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering the Chinese anime White Cat Legend.
Now this anime follows Chen Shi, which is correct.
You're right.
Okay.
Whichever one. Chen Shi is usually what they say in the show too.
Okay. Chen Shi, a young man from the countryside who's looking for his brother in the inner city. Now during his search, he ends up becoming the assistant to the head of the Dai Li Court, Li Bing, who just so happens to be a large white cat.
Literally. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, because notification updates in future podcasts and multiple pause videos.
Absolutely. And I remember when you first brought this anime to my attention.
Yes.
And it was with artwork actually on Twitter.
Yes. And at that time, I didn't know if there was anything else about it. Was it more of an obscure type show? And there's been a Twitter account for the animation company that makes it, the Lifeboat Animation, and the staff of it post things for the show, artwork, character designs, and things. And there are some people that watch and use the hashtag. Mm-hmm. And you ended up finding out about it also after I recommended to one of the people we follow on Twitter when they're looking for Chinese anime specifically. Mm-hmm. And you said you never showed it to you, and it was because it was a little harder to see. It wasn't something you can just stream easily on Netflix or Crunchyroll or Amazon. Mm-hmm. This anime is actually, the first season is on YouTube. So I ended up finding it there. And I only found out about it because they had showed a clip from the final episode with the fight scene. And for a lot of people, it was so good they went and started the anime because of that particular scene.
Mm-hmm. And after I saw it, I was really interested in seeing it. And then you let me know you already had watched almost the entire series. I was like, ah!
Right, because I didn't know if you were going to like it at first, but it was like, it's one of those period piece type shows with a little supernatural in it, so you should like it. So I thought about it.
When it's Chinese anime, it always takes place in some type of dynasty.
Right, or fantasy realm.
Right, and when I saw the first couple of episodes, you let me see it, mm-hmm. and you have to read it subbed.
Yeah.
It didn't deter me because it was actually really good. What I thought when I first began watching it reminded me a lot of Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And then what was funny is one of our friends actually went to Chinatown, and Demon Slayer was there in the restaurant and this anime.
Yes.
And I said, I told you it reminded me of Demon Slayer, but I have to say that after the first 3 episodes, I didn't think that anymore. But in the beginning and in the intro, it really made me think of it. But after the first 3 episodes, it became its own thing, and I wasn't thinking this is Demon Slayer anymore. It's actually quite good.
Yes. And as he said, the anime is available on YouTube. The first season is 12 episodes long. It came out in 2020, and I didn't start watching it until earlier this year. And around that time, they already had announced it started airing a season 2, and people didn't even know if there was going to be a season 2 because of how season 1 ended. But good thing is, neither of us got any spoilers for the show, so everything was a surprise to us.
Well, it'll be a spoiler for you guys if you haven't seen it, so you might want to skip ahead if you plan on watching and you haven't seen it, because in the end, it looks like there's a murder, and I was really upset.
Right.
I watched these 12 episodes for this to happen. Yes, I was not happy. But up until that point, they had some really interesting episodes. There's a lot of comedy within it that really fits. And there's mystery, there's adventure, there's drama.
Yes. There's a little bit supernatural.
Yes, so it's got a little of everything, except for romance. There's no romance in it.
No, surprisingly, and they don't really set up anything after the first season either. It's just completely story-driven. The only thing you kind of get hints about the mystery is Chen Shi's brother, where you really don't know where he is. He comes there looking for the brother after the mom passed, and her last wish is that he goes to find him and reunite with him. But he gets there and he hasn't been able to find him. He's been there months and he's turned up nothing. And to me, I think they're hinting at his brother is still out there, but you don't know where. And is assuming he looks like him because he looks like he's like a Lego figure where he's got a really simple face. Everybody else has detailed face, and he's got just like 2 dots and a mouth like he's Emmett.
So first I want to talk about the intro. It's a pretty long intro.
Yeah, it is.
And it's got the standard music that you're used to hearing with the different instruments and things. And then during this intro,
oh yes,
they show the 2 sides when you're almost done with the intro. And on the right side, you have all these attractive looking characters. Some characters, you know, people are crushing on Twitter.
Right.
Then you go to the left side and they show the characters that clearly are meant to be the bad guys. And they made sure they don't look like the people on the right side. Like, did they really do this?
Yes.
And then they have the audacity to put Li Bing on that side.
Right, with the not so attractive characters. And it was like, and you kind of wondered, it's like, so is he supposed to be attractive or not? And I'm kind of confused on that myself because the way they got in here, he's supposed to look unsightly because he's a big cat walking around. If they don't know him, they will freak out. So most of the people don't know what he looks like. He keeps himself hidden, aside from the ones he trusts the most in the court. But then you have online, and true to form, all the people crush on the cat. So I was like, wait, is he supposed to be unattractive or not? Or is he the only attractive one in that whole court?
And then I'm not sure if they're trying to say he's a bad guy because it's obvious that there's supposed to be bad guys on that side, except for Chen Shi.
Right.
So yeah, it's like a duality there. It's like, did they really?
Right.
Yes, they did.
Oh, it was one of the funniest things in there, and you can't help but laugh when you get to it.
And it doesn't really give you any hints of what's going to happen in the series.
Not
which
really.
is really odd for an intro.
Right. The only thing you got looks at some of the characters, and it actually uses footage from different episodes instead of all different animations, so there's no spoilers in there. The most you get is the hint of the last battle that everyone really enjoyed in the last episode, and maybe who the thief is that you see in the beginning that's standing with Li Bing. So that's pretty much it. Everything else, as you said, is either from an episode or kind of just an intro.
And the sub, it's funny because you hear, well, you don't hear, you see on screen them using a lot of English or American dialogue.
Right.
A lot of slang.
Especially for Chen
and
Shi.
actually some curse words, which we really were surprised
right.
to see. And it gets really hilarious when you have some of the comedy parts, which are really, really funny. And they work. They're not over the top. They're
right.
not so hard that you go, okay, you just outdid it. They're perfect.
Right.
And there's a great balance of the different genres within this anime, which is really good.
Right.
You've got some unique characters, including the guy with the black cloud over his head.
Oh yeah, I think it's Kyubei.
Yeah.
Kyubei.
And he made him really, really attractive, but clearly he's bad luck.
Right, and you think at first he's a villain because in one episode they have these people that are using him to cause disasters and horrible weather and storms for the beings that they're worshiping, and they're claiming that, well, because they donate enough money or they piss them off, and that's why there's thunderstorms and stuff everywhere, and they go and investigate, and they've been using him to make them give them more money and thinking that will appease whatever they're worshiping. So it ended up being a really interesting episode there.
Mm-hmm. And then you have, again, a lot of comedy. Mm-hmm. You have some seriousness, but one of the darkest episodes, or the darkest episode, before the last episode.
Right.
But it's a really dark episode where one of the servants, assistants I should say, ends up being found hung.
Right.
And they think there's a murder.
Right, and being haunted by him.
Right, and then Li Bing figures everything out, and it's really dark and sad.
Yeah,
It's the darkest and saddest episode. Well, it's not the saddest, but it's truly the darkest and saddest episode of the series.
Right. Now, granted, it's not graphic or anything. They do censor, and you get the idea of what happened as they explain it. But just the fact that it happened, it was a little hard to watch when it got to explain what really happened, because they believe they were being haunted by the person who was haunted.
And you felt bad for the character.
Right.
And, yeah. I would say that's the only one that, to me, didn't fit. I would have rather it not been in there.
Right.
And I'm not sure what purpose it was supposed to serve within the framework of the story.
Right.
It just seemed like something someone thought would be a good idea to put in.
Right.
And they didn't.
And it seemed like China likes having episodes where they have to deal with a haunting. Like in Hob, there was a female ghost haunting the place.
Have an
and they had
official's
to,
blessing.
right. That's what we like to do. Like I Hob, and there was a female ghost haunting the place, and they had to exterminate it. And in here, they thought it was gonna be the same thing. It was a male ghost, but it wasn't what they thought. It ended up being sort of like a dark Scooby-Doo episode in a way. And I guess they were trying to find the footing so you get an idea of who the characters are by putting them in that setting, because it had nothing to do with the rest of the story or the two mysteries going on. It just seemed like, okay, here's an idea of how Li Bing is and Chen Shi and Wang Qi and the other characters in there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the other members of the court, besides Qiu Bei, who joins later on, and Chen Shi, you also have Sun Bao, who's a really tall guy, but he's really terrified of ghosts, so that's the only thing he can't handle. He can fight just about anything except that. And you have Alibaba, who they call the Foreigner, and yes, it's like the name from the Arabian Nights story, and his struggle is that he's trying to become an official, but he keeps missing, either screwing up the test or missing out on the test, and he keeps having to retry every year, and no matter what, something stops him from taking the test. And then Wang Qi, who really is the one that has to take care of a lot of the cases they have, and it gets to a point where he gets exhausted and he doesn't want to do it anymore, and they like, don't complain, just do it, and it looks like he's about to just pass out on his feet because of all the workload he's got. And then you also have General Lang, who's one of the female generals and one of the very few ones. And General Hu, who's on the opposing side and is one of the higher ranking generals that works for the Empress. And the way they had it, he's
a crazy one.
Right. And the way they got it is that he's sort of on the not so good side. Like, you're not really sure if he's really good, but he's working for the bad guy, or he really is a bad guy working for the other bad guy. It's really not made clear. You just know they're on opposing sides, and that's pretty much it. They kind of leave it there until, I guess, next season.
So it's a really interesting anime. It's a great mesh again of different genres. And when you get to the second to last episode, I think it was the second to last, you finally meet the Empress.
Yes.
And she's crazy.
Yeah, Wu Ming Kong.
Crazy. And they have her with the appearance like she's this cute chibi character. She's like Muffin on Bluey. She's smart.
Right.
And everything's supposed to go her way. She has fits and temper tantrums in the middle of the floor. Then you find out she's 68 years old.
You right? I was like, what?
And in the last episode, you find out she's cruel.
Yeah.
And she's evil.
Which
and she's a witch.
Right. Because they keep saying, like, wow, how could you work for her? And you never see her until the end. So now you understand why Li Bing and some of the others didn't want to work that high up for her anymore, because of how those last two episodes were. It's like, okay, now we get it.
Right. So the way it ends, as I said, it was very upsetting. Because you got invested in this, and
right.
then they took out this character you really came to love.
Right.
So now I'm looking forward to season 2, because I'm hoping if there's a season 2, the character isn't gone. It really would suck if the character is still gone in season 2. Then it'll be like watching Garen Lagann, where they got rid of Simon, and you kept thinking he was coming back, and he never did.
Right.
I would be disappointed. and I would probably throw things at the TV.
Right.
Talk to them on Twitter and ask, why the hell did you do this?
Right.
So I'm hoping there's a positive opening
Me
and
too.
good news when we begin season 2.
Me too. And it's funny because the last episode was probably the most interesting one out of all of them, because they really had really up the animation. It was really beautifully colored. The fight scene was the best animated thing out of everything, because it's not bad animated, just you can tell they kind of are taking their time with it and they're not using a lot of movement, but when it gets to the fight scenes they use a lot. And that was the most engaging one for us because it's also the longest and the last one and the most interesting. So the fact that it ended like that, yeah, Mama was really pissed on how it ended. Especially we were like Chen Shi and just almost ready to cry.
Yeah. So if you've seen White Cat Legend, we really hope you have. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you think it was okay? We really want to hear what you think. And if you haven't, as Rascal said, you can find it on YouTube to watch. It is subbed. There's no dub available at this time. And since it's China, there probably will never be.
Right.
But it is worth investing the time watching and reading the sub because it's a really good experience.
Right. And the subtitles are a little small, so it's probably best if you watch this on your computer or a smaller device, or like I did on the phone, because it can be difficult to read, especially when it's against brighter colors. So definitely make sure that you can read everything that's on the screen. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos of your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for watching.
Yes, and thank you for tuning in for this podcast today. We really appreciate you.
I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
有生就不是